Oh, hello. Can we please talk about UFC Vegas 39? I'm not going to lie to you. This isn't like a star-studded event. It's one of those fight nights where it's like, okay, I'm not saying it's lacking good fighters, far from it. Some of these fighters are fantastic. But what I would say is that this card does lack star power, which incidentally makes this video all the more useful because I've done all the research on these fighters for the fights that I've picked out. And so you don't have to do the research, but you know, because I was aware of quite a few of them, I'm not going to lie, but there were some that I was like, I'm not really aware of. But when you look at them, you kind of see who they beat. It's like, oh, I remember that dude. Yeah, I remember that dude now. So it's that kind of fight card. But like I said, incidentally, what I've done here is I've gone through and I've had a look at some of the fights where I think that there's going to be a decent enough fight, and maybe there's some odds there on methods and things like that where I can see some value in the bet. So without further ado, this is the Burt Locker fights in 15 for UFC Vegas 39. Let's start off in the heavyweight division. If you know anything about me, here at the Burt Locker, we love heavyweights. We love heavyweight fights. Now, this one is interesting, right? We've got Alexander Romanov against Jared Vandermeer. Now, Vandermeer is a huge underdog in this one. And I might be missing something really, really obvious here, because I don't really know why he's such a big underdog. I understand why he's an underdog, right? Don't get me wrong. Romanov is undefeated, okay? He's had 3 fights in the UFC. The last one he won by technical decision. I believe it was because he took an illegal groin strike. I think I vaguely remember it. He took an illegal groin strike, and after it's gone 2 rounds, I believe they then go to the judge's scorecard in that event, and he won a technical decision because of that. But he submitted his first 2 fights in the UFC. The guy is clearly very, very good, right? He's very good. However, Vandermeer, I think he's been slightly underestimated here. He's pretty good, you know. They put him against Justin Tafa last time, which was an incredible fight. If you've got Fight Pass, type in Justin Tafa versus Jared Vandermeer. Really good fight. Just a bloodbath, back and forth, like heart, and just, yeah, it was good. It was a really good slugfest. Now, that's the problem. Vandermeer is not like the most technical of fighters, which might be where he falls down against Romanov here. You know, there's a reason that he's the favourite. Romanov is undefeated, and look, he loves a submission. I mean, even in the UFC, 2 out of his 3 fights he has finished by submission. So there's a decent chance that he does the same here. But you know, the odds are very short on that. I'm a dreamer, so I'm obviously betting on the underdog here, who is Vandermeer. Now, he has loads of other submissions, and like I said, he's undefeated. But where was he fighting before? He was fighting in Eagle FC. What's the competition like over there in Eagle FC? You know what I mean? Say what we will about Vandermeer, but they were quite high on him. We went through the Contender Series. His first UFC fight, they put him against Sergey Spivak. I'm not being funny. They must think quite a lot of you if they put you in against Spivak for your first fight in the UFC. Spivak's no joke, man. He's good. He's really good. So that kind of tells me where their expectation was of Vandermeer when he was going in. So for him to slip to a 4-1 underdog, he's +5, a 4-1 underdog just to win, I've got to have a little go on that. Now, I'm not saying he is going to win, but I don't feel like he should be as heavy as a 4-1 underdog when you've got 2 fighters who are roughly the same size in the heavyweight division as well. The heavyweight, you know, anything can happen, right? Even when the best of the best are fighting, you often see some surprises, right? So for him to be a 4-1 underdog at heavyweight in a fight where size-wise they're fairly even, and you know, even with their records, their skill-wise, they seem relatively, you know, on the same kind of level. It's not like, you know, Romanov's like this huge. I mean, he might be in the future. I might be missing something completely here. Please let me know in the comments if I am. It's very possible, but I don't know. I'm not confident in the bet at all, but I like the value there. 4-1. Boom. I'm having a go on that. Vandermeer to win. Any means necessary. 4-1. Bang that on the bet slip. Then you've got Charles Rosa versus Damon Jackson at £145. Now this one is interesting, right? Because Charles Rosa, I first kind of really started paying attention to him. He got really like out grappled against the guy who does the twisters, Bryce Mitchell. But I mean, he got flattened in that fight. But he was. Considering but his jiu-jitsu actually came off looking quite good, because no matter what he did, Bryce Mitchell couldn't finish him. He's a very good Brazilian jiu-jitsu player. I believe he's a black belt under Ricardo Labora, probably, yeah. So he is a very good black belt, is Charles Rosa. Now, Charles Rosa, he's got a bit of a patchy record. He seems to go like win-loss since like 2014, which is weird. Again, he's another guy where it's like, how the hell has he been fighting in the UFC since 2014? It doesn't feel like he has been. That's crazy. I don't know. Maybe I've just lost all concept of time. But yeah. He last beat Justin James. I don't know if you remember that one. Justin James bet his entire fight purse on himself and then lost it. It was a split decision. It was close-ish, but I thought I gave Rosa the nod. I thought Rosa did more than Justin James in that fight. And yeah, look, Rosa's not a world beater. However, I would say that the key here is he's a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player. A black belt. He is very good, right? A black belt is a level above a purple belt. I'm not saying a purple belt isn't good. A purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is very, very good. But I feel like if he's going to get into a grappling contest with Charles Rosa, which I think might happen, and that's the key here, because Damon Jackson, as well as looking like Trevor from GTA, he does look a little bit like him. Which could play to his advantage, because Trevor is a terrifying psychopath, and if he can channel that inner Trevor from GTA 5, then I feel like he can win this fight. I'm just kidding. Obviously he can win this fight. You know, Charles Rosa has shown himself to be perfectly beatable on any given day. But the key here is Damon Jackson has 14 wins by submission. 14. He's a very good grappler in his own right. I'm not saying a purple belt isn't extremely good. He's extremely high level, and he's shown it. He's got 14 submission wins on his record. However, a purple belt generally is not going to be as good on the ground as a black belt, and I think that's fair to say. I don't think I'm saying anything completely outrageous when I make that statement. I think that Damon Jackson, with his 14 wins by submission, means that he's going to try and play that game with Charles Rosa, which I think is a mistake. Because I think that if you try and play that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game with Charles Rosa is probably going to catch you if he's a black belt and you're a purple belt. And that is what I'm betting on here, because Charles Rosa is 6-1 to get the submission. And that is some value. I am having a go on that all day. Charles Rosa, submission, boom, on the bet slip. Then you've got Tim Elliott against Matias, Nicola, £125. So you've got the small guy. Now, Tim Elliott, he's the chap that won the tournament to fight Demetrius Johnson. He lost to Demetrius Johnson, but who didn't at that time? Do you know what I mean? Elliott's record is patchy, but he is on a 2-fight win streak. And one thing I would note is he now does train at James Krause's place. His trainer is James Krause. And I like those Krause guys. They seem to just come in and do their job and do enough to win. And that's important. That's a really important skill. It's an important trait to have in a kind of fight camp. And James Krause, I mean, also, shout out to James Krause, absolute badass. He was going to step in short notice to fight somebody on this card. I forget who he was going to fight. I mean, cause I stopped paying attention to that news story because it got quashed. It was like the Athletic Commission haven't allowed it. But Krause said, look, hey, I'm on weight. I can make weight for that fight. All of his last fights have been like late-minute replacements because he's been focused much more on training people. And you know what? James Krause is a really good trainer. Really good. And yeah, you know what? I think that helps Tim Elliott a lot in this because he's looked really good in his last couple of fights, right? Nicola, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in his own right. Very good fighter. But Tim, he's slightly larger. He's got the better reach. Both guys beat Smolka by decision, so nothing on there. On paper, this one's close. I'm not going to lie. On paper, it's extremely close. But in close fights where they're close on paper, I go with the underdog every time. 2.75 for Elliott as the underdog here, just to win any means necessary. I was considering the decision because the decision is obviously the most likely outcome. In these smaller weight classes, it is always the most likely outcome. Now, you're only getting 3.75 for the decision. You're getting 2.75 for the win. So you might as well just bet on the win there. The better value is on the win in that scenario. So that is what I'm going for. Tim Elliott to get another win for Team Kraus. I'm putting that on the bet slip. Randy Brown versus Jared Goodman is coming in at the co-main event here at welterweight, £170. Now, Randy Brown, he is really good. I feel like he's actually slightly underrated. I feel like people throw the term underrated around far too much. I see people saying it all the time, ooh, Khabib's underrated. In what respect? He's rated as one of the best to ever do it. In what way is that underrated, you idiots? Use underrated in the correct term. I feel like Randy Brown is slightly underrated for how good he actually is. Obviously, he didn't look great when he was being hammer fist KO'd from the bottom by Nico Price, but that was a bit of an anomaly. Great to watch though. Go back and watch that one. Randy Brown versus Nico Price. Shout out. It was a very good fight and it was a fun finish. Sorry, spoiler alert. Oh, sorry. Look, Randy Brown, he's got some very good wins on it. I would say he's been fighting much better competition than his opponent here, Jared Goodman, right? Brown has beaten Brian Barberena. That's a great win. Barberena is really game. He's really game. We'll see him against Matt Brown relatively soon. That's going to be a hell of a fight. But he's also beaten Wally Alves, got him in a triangle choke. Obviously, he lost to Vicente Luque, but then he submitted Alex Oliveira. Submitting Alex Oliveira is that is a real feather in the cap. Alex Oliveira is good, man. He's dangerous. Now, Brown is 13-4, 6 knockouts, and 5 submissions. He's a finisher. Right, that's the key here. Randy Brown, when he wins, he tends to get the finish. He's only gone the distance and won twice in his career. So, look, Brown is very good at locking up submissions. He's got those kind of thin, long arms. He's great at arm triangles, guillotines, all that kind of thing. Now, Gooden, his opponent, I don't feel like Gooden is on his level. This is a real step up in competition for him. Gooden's 18-6. I mean, he's not bad. He's floated between middleweight and welterweight. I'm wondering if maybe he's come down to welterweight to try and find the correct weight class for him. Now, he's had 3 fights in the UFC and he's lost 2 of them. That's not good. Do you know what I mean? Randy Brown has been fighting in the UFC for a hot minute. Since 2016, he's been fighting very good competition and he's been winning enough to be able to stay in the company. So that is telling, you know. So Brown is the rightful favourite here. The bookies have got that part right. Now, Randy Brown to get the stoppage is still, your odds are really terrible on that one, but 2.10, so just better than even money. Normally I wouldn't touch that with a barge pole, but I just feel like it's very, very likely. I feel like Randy Brown should win this one, and the odds on him winning and getting the finish, if he wins, he's probably finished the fight, is what I would say. So for that reason, I am taking Randy Brown to get the stoppage, that's submission, TKO or KO, which is just better than even money, is at 2.10, which is terrible odds, but terrible odds, pretty good bets. Mackenzie Dern versus Marina Rodriguez. Now this one, the key to this one is, can Mackenzie Dern get it to the ground? If she can get it to the ground in round 1, Rodriguez, she does tend to spend usually an average of about 5 minutes on her back in any given fight, which is a problem. She's more of a kickboxer, Muay Thai specialist. Now, if Mackenzie Dern can get the fight to the ground, then she will go through Rodriguez like a hot knife through butter. That's probably going to happen. However, I would say that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu players, the key for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player is to get it down to the ground. But there are so many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu players that are just, their takedowns are just not great. The only problem with that is, because you've got the wrestlers that have the better takedowns, and that was where Rodriguez kind of fell apart against Carla Esparza. Carla Esparza was just able to get it down to the ground at will and just outwork her, right? Now, Dern, the problem is, Dern might be able to get her to the ground because Marina Rodriguez, she's a Muay Thai specialist. She likes the clinch. She's quite comfortable in the clinch, and a lot of Mackenzie Dern's takedowns come from the clinch. So that could be a real problem. That should be alarm bells for Rodriguez there. But I would say that Rodriguez has had some big wins lately. She beat Ribas, caught her with a lovely counter, and knocked her out. And Ribas had a lot of hype behind her. Ribas, don't forget, beat Mackenzie Dern very soundly by decision. And Rodriguez also beat Michelle Watson in May in a 5-rounder, and that's another key there. She's been 5 rounds and she looked fine, whereas Mackenzie Dern rarely gets out the first round. She's certainly never been 5. So if Rodriguez can somehow stop Dern from getting her down to the ground and stop her getting the submission for the first couple of rounds, then Mackenzie Dern could start being a little bit more reckless here, and that's something that I could say, because if she doesn't get her way straight away, she does start looking a little bit more reckless. But one thing I would say is also that Mackenzie Dern, her striking has looked far better in her last few fights. She seems to be enjoying the striking a lot more. And again, that might be alarm bells for her, because if she gets too comfortable in striking range against Rodriguez, Rodriguez has the reach and she has the height, and she's a better striker. I think that's a given, okay? So if Dern gets too comfortable on the feet, and that's what I'm betting on here, I think she might. I think that there's a chance that she wants to show how good her striking is, and if she tries to play that game against Rodriguez, I think Rodriguez might knock her out, because as good as... Right, because there are levels to this. On the ground, Mackenzie Dern will destroy her. She'll get the submission. If she gets her to the ground with more than 2 minutes left on the clock in any round, it is done. It's over, right? However, if it stays on the feet, Marina Rodriguez is far better on the feet. Far better. And I feel like if Mackenzie Dern plays that game for too long, she's going to get caught. And that's what I'm betting on here. Because, look, you're getting 3-1 on Rodriguez to get the knockout. And I don't think it's necessarily likely, but what's the alternative? Bet on Mackenzie Dern to get the submission at even money? No, thank you. No. That's it. Even money to pick the method, that's crazy. That is crazy, but it is likely. You know what I mean? I think even in the first round, it's like 3-1, which is crazy. Like, it shouldn't be that likely, but it kind of is. Basically, it's a big if Dern gets it to the floor in the first round, it's probably going to be a first round submission. But I am rolling the dice on Rodriguez maybe being able to keep this on the feet. Obviously, she knows where Dern's takedowns come from, and she knows how good Dern is on the ground. So I would think that maybe she's going to use her reach and maybe keep her distance. And if she can keep her distance, let's not forget that Dern has to close the distance with her. She has to go to her. And if she doesn't watch her P's and Q's as she's doing that, Rodriguez is the kind of girl that could catch her. She's got 6 knockouts on her record. She knows how to strike and she can bang. So that's what I'm going for. Rodriguez to get the knockout over Mackenzie Dern, to get the big upset. That's +4, that's 3-1, that's a terrible bet, but it should be a pretty fun fight. I'm quite looking forward to it. So I am going to be seeing how all these bets went. It'll be Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, depending on my schedule, and we'll see how terrible or how good my bets were. And I just want to say, if you enjoy the content, please give me a like and give me a subscribe. It really helps me out massively. If you think I'm absolutely mental, let me know in the comments. I want to know what you're betting on. Let me know in the comments what the hell you're betting on, because obviously I'm taking this real terrible bet. 808.5-1 is my ACCA, which is Jared Vandermeer to win anyway, Charles Rosa to get the submission, Tim Elliott to get the win, Randy Brown to get the finish, and Marina Rodriguez to get the knockout. I'm taking that. That's like 808.50-1, which is terrible. What are your bets this week? Let me know in the comments. I love a good laugh, just like you're laughing at how terrible this bet is. I love a good laugh as well. But also, I do like it when I see them come off, because I'm like, yeah, good for you, man. That's decent. But yeah. Anyways, until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.